seeing that the Angels out of nowhere decided to part ways with Madden, and I don't understand it. I can't wait to find out what was going on in that locker room, because it doesn't make any sense after 12 games on a 12-game losing streak that you just, hey, I'm just going to get rid of one of the best managers in baseball. It doesn't make any sense. What are your thoughts to this team? I mean, they're on a 14-game losing streak. They have the best player in baseball. They spent loads of money. They had the MVP of the league last year who has pitched like garbage. What are your thoughts to this team?
I think they could be one of the worst managed or whatever, worst, I guess call it management. I'm not even referring to their manager, franchise in baseball. They seem to collect all of the pitchers that just want their UCLs to fall off somehow. Every single pitcher they've had. Like from going back to Garrett Richards, they tried to have him not get Tommy John surgery for 2 years, and then he finally had to have it. They signed Noah Syndergaard. Like you as a Mets fan, Speedy Petey.
Yes.
Like you must know that that's going to end in a disaster. Michael Lorenzen, he's not going to stay healthy.
Don't forget about Darvish.
Who?
Darvish?
No, they didn't sign Darvish.
Oh, I forgot he was on
the
Texas.
Dodgers.
That was Texas too.
Texas,
and
yeah.
Texas, that's right.
That wasn't Darvish. I don't even know who else they have there. They got Detmer, who's been okay as a rookie.
Who's the kid that went to the Boston Red Sox last year? Peterson? Was it Peterson?
No, it was Garrett Richards. He said
Garrett
that.
Richards.
It was Garrett Richards.
Yeah, Garrett Richards. Yeah,
Garrett Richards, yeah.
He's a disaster. Ohtani, I don't know if he's going to stay healthy as a pitcher. They've already hurt him. It only took like a year for them to break Ohtani. He's back now and fantastic. But with Madden, I saw the interview with Trout, and Trout was saying, like, you know what, baseball, people come and people go, and that's it. So he was very unsympathetic right after, in the wake of the what's it called, the Madden firing. So I think, just looking at that interview, I think Trout hated the guy. To be honest. I don't know why, but I just reading his body language, he just did not give a fuck that I don't know if you can say that here.
No, you can say that. Yeah, that's fine.
He wanted him gone, I think. I don't know what. Yeah, it was something weird. Probably something weird behind the scenes. But I don't know. Maybe he lost the clubhouse.
He hasn't been.
Trout's comments.
Trout hasn't been hitting the ball very well either this season. I mean, I've been very. This is un-Trout-like, and to me, he's in a slump right now. And as everybody knows, we are talking to draft champion, host, and fantasy baseball analyst Rotodoctor Zack. But I think Trout has just been not Trout-like. And the fact that Major League Baseball, I looked at the list of MVPs, and Trout's number 1 and Judge is number 2 right now. That's ridiculous. I know that everybody loves Trout, and that's why I said this, and I'll say it again. If Trout played last year and Ohtani had the season that he had, Trout still would have won the MVP. But because Guerrero played for the Blue Jays, I'll say this again. I think Guerrero was the MVP of the league last year. I believe that. I don't care what anybody tells me. That guy almost had he was up for a triple crown at one point last year, and he never got he never. How many number 1 votes he had? He had none. I think he had all the number 2 votes.
Was unanimous.
So
say it on Twitter, you get crucified.
I know
by all the Ohtani boys on Twitter.
Dude, do you know Fox took a bunch of our stuff and put it in a whole. What did they do?
It was a video reel of different highlights, but
Fox
also different tweets
and
all different things.
They loved our take on Ohtani and Guerrero. It was a 15-minute take, and they took and they put it on a thing for the World Series.
Yeah, it was a documentary of the MVP race between the two of them.
Yeah, they loved it.
Really?
Yeah, they loved it, and they thought we had a good take on it. And I thought, I don't care what anybody says, I thought Guerrero was the best player all season long. He's the everyday player. I know everybody loves that he's the Ohtani's the Babe Ruth of baseball right now, and that's fantastic. If you look at his ERA and you look at his WHIP last year and his wins to loss percentage and all that other stuff, he was not even in the top 10 in almost every single statistic in pitching. If you're in the top 10 in every statistic and you're hitting like that, then I understand why you made him the MVP. He wasn't a great pitcher last year. He was an okay pitcher. He was a great power hitter last year. So if you want to say that, he didn't even hit over 300. I think he was 268 or something like that. To Guerrero, who hit over 300. He had 120, 130 RBIs, and he had 40-something home runs. So to me, I didn't make any sense how Guerrero didn't win the MVP. But you know what? That's what baseball writers do. They make you and they make you think what they think that they know. But the truth is, when you watch the eye test and you saw what Guerrero did all season long, and maybe he's not a great defensive player. He's not a bad defensive player.
He was better than expected.
Yeah, so
Ohtani didn't do anything defensively, really.
No,
he did it with more with base running though too. He stole a lot of base and scored runs.
His WAR was very high. I mean, if you look at his WAR,
and his runs created was high too.
20 after the home run derby, which after like this for the second half of the year, he was hitting like in the 220s. So he was pretty bad. He just accumulated such a hot start, Ohtani, that just everyone had in their head. And he pitches. Oh my God, he pitches too. But I'm kind of with you, like that. The race is closer than people made it seem. But I don't know. I'm not here saying that Ohtani's not the MVP, but
he wasn't.
I think I kind of agree with your take.
He wasn't.
In general.
Wasn't. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to cut you off. He wasn't the MVP. I don't care what anybody says. We've talked to so many writers, dude. We had guys that actually voted for Ohtani to be. They were writers in the baseball, and I thought it was a joke that nobody gave him number one votes. Nobody. When this guy, I think, almost 75% of the season, he was at one point had a chance to win the Triple Crown in the American League, and they still were saying Ohtani was the MVP. I'm sorry. When a player has that kind of season, and I'm not a Blue Jays fan, okay? But I think Guerrero is one of the best players the baseball has seen in a very long time, and he's gonna win multiple MVPs. I just feel like they did him dirty. They did him dirty.
Yeah, like I hear you. I don't know if it's tough. I think it's a lot closer than the voting results were personally, but Ohtani had he put up a lot of numbers, but a lot of those numbers were in the beginning of the year, sort of like what Bellinger did in his MVP season. Like he just had that incredible April, like 14 home runs in April, and since like that, I think since that April of his, or no, I think it's like halfway through. If you take, I think he won the MVP in what 2019.
He was 19. And he probably doesn't win it either if Yelich doesn't get hurt at the end of the year either, because Yelich could have won back-to-back very easily.
That's right.
100.
Even if you cut that season in half and take it like he had an incredible start. Since then, he's been like fucking shit, like terrible for like he's been terrible for like 3 full years almost. Yeah, and people are still banking on that comeback.
Listen to these numbers. He had 123 runs last year, which was most in baseball. He had 48 home runs, most in baseball. His on-base percentage was 401, most in baseball. Slugging percentage 601, most in baseball. OPS 1.002, most in baseball. OPS plus 167, most in baseball. TB 363, most in baseball. This guy had 48 home runs, 111 RBIs, and only struck out 110 times. This guy was the MVP of baseball last year. I don't care what anybody tells me. So
I'm sold. Danny, you sold me. I agree.
You know, it just bothers the hell out of me that nobody gave him number. I understand you want to give it to Ohtani. He's the Babe Ruth of baseball, whatever. The fact that he had not one first place vote is disgusting, and it just shows me. If I was him, I would say, you know what, this is a prima donna game. You want to, but I bet you if Mike Trout played last year and he had anywhere close to those numbers, he would have been the MVP. 110%. They would have gave it to him. Right now they're saying that Mike Trout is in the lead right now for MVP, and his numbers are not even close to Aaron Judge right now. Not even close. So that just shows you what the baseball writers do. Look what the baseball writers did to Aaron Judge's rookie season. Look what they did to him on that one. I mean, did everybody think that Altuve was better than Aaron Judge?
He cheated, so obviously not.
Even if he cheated, he didn't have better numbers than Aaron Judge's rookie season.
Cheating.
Yeah, it's horrible. I think these voters are assholes. That's what I think they are. And if I was a player, I'd say, look, Albert Belle. We talk about this all the time. Albert Belle was one of the greatest baseball players of the late 90s, early 2000s. He was fantastic. Okay, his 7 years was as good as Ken Griffey Jr.'s, as good as Barry Bonds has been. Go look at the numbers; they don't lie. And this guy should be in the Hall of Fame, and he'll never see the Hall of Fame. Jeff Kent, one of the greatest second basemen of all time. He even though he had a big mouth, how many power hitting second basemen have the numbers as Jeff Kent does? But he'll never go to the Hall of Fame either. I don't know. Keith Hernandez, we were talking about that today, me and Josh. Why isn't Keith Hernandez in the Hall of Fame? Why? Because he was sniffing coke every game? Give me a break. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting with these baseball. But then you have guys like Harold Baines, okay, in the Hall of Fame because Tony LaRussa is on the what do they call it? The committee, or some, Lee, the relief pitcher. Lee Smith. He's a Hall of Famer. Are you kidding me? And you're not gonna let these guys. Don Mattingly, I would say he's not a Hall of Famer because he needed 3 more years of good baseball to get in. But Keith Hernandez, guys like that, they should be in the Hall of Fame.
Fred McGriff was the other big one.
Fred McGriff too.
Yeah.
Five overall. What?
Almost 493.
493 because he doesn't have 500 home runs. He's not going to Hall of Fame. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's disgusting. Even Chipper Jones the other day talked about it.
Right.
He was mentioning players that should be in the Hall of Fame and how, but they're going to let some of these other guys right now in these days because pitchers don't need 300 wins anymore to make it to the Hall of Fame. They're going to make them Hall of Famers because they were dominant and they have 123 wins, and that's the way baseball is going. It's stupid.
You know what's great about fantasy baseball?
I'm sorry.
None of this fucking matters.
No, I know. I know.
And you don't have to worry about all these fucking idiots doing all these votes for people, and like you're saying,
absolutely
for stupid reasons. You just got to play. You play the game, and you control. Well, you don't control it all. You got to. Players got to perform.
You're lucky.
You pick the players you want, and that's what's so great about fantasy baseball.
How are you doing?
Baseball podcast. They don't want to fucking hear about the Hall of Fame. They don't care about the MVP voting. And they just want to make some money gambling on sports.
So how are you doing with your fantasy team? Because we're before we let
this
you go.
Year, so far so good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of misses. I have over 100 teams, which might blow your mind.
Wow. Got a lot of money invested in that.
They're all like decent buy-ins. So it's a lot to manage. Every Sunday doing the fab, and then every Monday setting your lineups. So I got a lot of Byron Buxton. Not a lot of your Yankee guys, not a lot of Mets, but just for fantasy purposes, who's been really good. I got a lot of Kyle Wright really late on the Braves, so he's been a big hit for me. And then I'm doing okay. I'm in first in a lot, but I'm also like with 100 leagues, you're in last a lot. So a lot of in the NFBC they have overall competition. So you're in leagues of 15 players, but then there's also like 50 leagues all pooled together. So there's like 700 players in the same contest. So there's big money to win the overall. So it's still really early, hard to tell, but I've got a lot of teams. I got a bunch of teams that are in the hunt right now. So it's fun.
As everybody knows, we are talking to draft champion, host and fantasy baseball analyst, Rotodoctor Zack. Last question for me. I mean, what do you do? Is this what you do for a living? You do fantasy. What do you do for a living? I never asked.
I am a CPA. I'm an accountant.
Really? Good for you, man. I mean, so you have one of those jobs that keep you busy with numbers, and now you're a numbers guy with fantasy. So I could see why you're a fantasy guru because you're a numbers guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a guru, but I play a lot of fantasy, and it's a time-consuming hobby.
Well, you're obviously a doctor, so you might as well be a guru. So we'll just call you Dr. Guru Zack, okay? Anyways, we really appreciate you joining us, man. I know you were very, very busy. Sorry for your softball game. Really appreciate you, and we would love to get you back on very, very soon. Follow us on our social medias. We'll follow you, especially me. But Speedy will send you my thing.
I'll throw you guys a follow. I'm following your the network.
Yeah, Twitter too. It's the only social media I really go on, and people complain. I was just telling
your 4,000 followers that you only tweet once a month.
They tell me all the time. They're like, we follow you. We know you're a crazy SOB. Why aren't you posting things? And I tell them. I was like, what do you want me to say? You want me to take a picture of me taking a dump and post it up on
No, we really
media?
don't.
I mean, what do you want me to do? But I'm going to start to interact more with the people on Twitter. I think people would really like my thoughts of what's going on in sports. But and me adding a little two cents and stupidity to it. So, but we really appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks again. Happy to do it.